the latest in tech and accessibility. This is Access Tech Live with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
Welcome back to Access Tech Live. Now, getting fit is normally a New Year's resolution, but look, we all know how those typically end up. Joining us now is a successful personal instructor and group fitness instructor with a real passion for making fitness accessible. I can't wait to get advice from Bobbi Janzen, who joins us here on Access Tech Live, who also happens to be the host of Healthy at Home right here on AMI TV. Bobbi, first up, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, tell us about your fitness journey. When did making fitness accessible become your passion, and why?
Oh boy, it's been a very long time. I think probably around the time, so I have 2 children. So the time I had my second daughter, I had lost a significant portion of sight afterwards, and I felt very limited. I was pretty blue. My husband ended up signing me up for a yoga class and physically took me there, put me in the yoga class and said, "I'll see you later." I was not very impressed with him at the time. I ended up loving it. And I realized what was missing. So the instructor I had at that time talked through everything. I didn't need to see her to do all the things that everybody else was doing. So I fell in love there and decided that this is what needs to be shared with the world. I want to do all the things that I had been missing out on because they were not accessible. So I made it my goal to try and make different activities, different types of fitness accessible for other people to enjoy. And that's been a 20-year journey.
And it's been a great journey, Bobbi. I mean, we, watch Healthy at Home all the time, and how you take us through every exercise is absolutely insane and so super described. Prior to you coming on, we had Jay Blahnik on, who's the vice president of fitness technologies over at Apple, small company. They launched Apple Fitness Plus several years ago, and I'm curious to get your feedback on services like Apple Fitness Plus.
I think that they've changed and revolutionized the fitness game, absolutely, because you can do this, any type of exercise or workout that's programmed into these apps and tech anywhere where you might be, in your office, outside. They've come a long way as far as accessibility too. I do think there's a long way yet to go in creating a fully accessible experience and workouts, I should say, so people that are experiencing disability have choice. But I like the fact that you don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to go to the gym. If I'm uncomfortable there, I can do exercise wherever I might be. So I think they are great. They definitely have a place, but I'm a creature of habit too. So they also give some variety. It just depends what you want from your workout, I think.
Now, Bobbi, you've just basically summed up the raison d'etre for Healthy at Home, right? Which specifically showcases exercise routines and tools like meditation for people with disabilities. How do you design routines that cater to all of the different types of people that might be watching?
It definitely takes some thought. I take some exercises that I might enjoy and some that I don't. I'll be very real. There's some exercises I don't love, but other people out there might like them. And then I put myself in someone's shoes. What might they need to be successful in a workout routine? Is it just described? Is it switching to an arms only version? Is it switching to one that has less impact? So I try and take all the factors in. I put it out there for some feedback from some other people in the community as well to make sure I'm on target. And then I think how can we make this at least enjoyable too for all? And then we put it together.
Bobbi, people often think about getting fit. They think about the physical aspects of it. But there's a big piece of the puzzle, I think especially during the pandemic, we learned about our mental health and mental fitness. Is it as important or even more important than the physical aspect of it?
They are so closely linked. taking care of your whole self is very, very important. And that might be meditation for some people. Some people might hate it. For me, running is meditation. So that is a tool I use. It's something I can clear my mind with. So it might look different for everyone, but it's kind of like we're this whole perfect package. And we need that physical and that mental side. It might be taking more time to read a book. It might be going outside, spending time. I have my retired guide dog on my feet right now, so that's that's one thing that is makes me feel good. So doing things that make you feel good and reduce any stress you might have, that's where that linkage can come between movement and mental health as well.
And there is another aspect to this, which I know only too well about, and that is the importance of diet when it comes to keeping fit as well. You know, we see so many apps to monitor what we eat and, you know, actually track what we eat as well.
Yeah, there is another whole component. But we also need to give ourselves some kindness too. We have to show kindness. We are human. I don't eat things that I don't like. It doesn't mean I live on cookies, but there is a time for cookies, trust me. But
oh, I know.
definitely a time for cookies. But we have to fuel ourselves too. So I look at that as well. What foods make me feel crappy? I eliminate those or limit them. Having conversation with a dietitian. I stay in touch with one to make sure that I'm on track as my activities change. Sometimes my dietary needs change. So I consult different professionals when it comes to that, but food does fuel the body. And sometimes we have to look at it as we need that good high octane fuel in order to move better. And sometimes we need a cookie.
Bobbi, is it urban legend or a myth that over 50, your diet or even cardio for that matter isn't as important towards keeping a healthy lifestyle?
Oh my goodness. That is a huge myth. Over time, our needs do change. Absolutely. Our activity levels change. The types of activities we do change. And we have to fuel that appropriately too. But movement is still important, and fueling properly is still important no matter what age you are. And bringing joy in with that it makes it all so much more worth it.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to modifying exercise and diet, you know, I'll have to throw that urban legend out of the window there. So we'll keep focusing on my diet a bit. You know, in my experience, I've got a torn meniscus, so I can't use my knees the same way someone else might, you know, do a specific exercise. I'm curious when it comes to actually modifying exercises for different people's different disabilities, different uses of different limbs. I can imagine that's not the easiest thing to necessarily portray, but there is always a solution, is there not, to doing one exercise a different way just because you can't necessarily, for example, in my case, use my knees the same way?
I believe there is. We don't use the word can't in my house because it becomes a challenge for me as soon as somebody tells me I can't do something. So that's a big thing that's shown me to find different ways. So it's a good challenge for me when someone says, you know, this type of exercise isn't going to work. How can I still stay moving and focused on getting stronger or keeping moving? We just kind of take a look at what I put myself in the person's shoes, and sometimes quite literally, I'm gonna sit and I know I need to do this exercise. What can I do differently? So it takes a little bit of thinking and reworking, as well as it takes an awful lot of talking to talk through an exercise that has maybe multiple modifications, but it is completely doable.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, Marc talks about his knees, and I've often thought about, you know, just walking, even generally for me, as someone who's blind, is actually very difficult. I do find it challenging just going for a walk. And not in the sense of walking, but in the sense of getting use out of my walk. What advice could you give to me in that case to be able to, you know, not necessarily go to a gym? I'm not into that either. I'd rather work from home and do this kind of thing. What advice would you give to someone like me in that situation?
If that's where you want to be, find your joy first. Find where you're comfortable, your comfort level. the number one advice I can give for walking is really make sure you have you do some core exercises, because I've taken my white cane to the gut so many times when it gets stuck in a crack in the sidewalk or when it snows. So I know the importance of a strong core to stay moving. But if it's walking that makes you happy, how can you vary that walk? How can you maybe change some cadence? How can you vary the duration that you walk? How can you maybe add a treadmill walk to that with an incline so that it's got that safety measure if you're not familiar with certain areas, or walk with a buddy? But stick with the things that you like, and then maybe add some different challenges. Try to step outside of the box. But I never say, let's just jump outside of the box first and do something, all the things you're uncomfortable with, and then we'll go back to, say, walking or wheeling later. So start off with what you're comfortable with and then build in some different aspects. So you can take some experts from Healthy at Home to develop the things that you might need for a walking workout as well.
Oh, I like that. Look at the callback. Bobbi, we talked about it when we introduced you. A good number of folks, I think, around the world use New Year's Eve as an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to get fit and stick to this New Year's resolution. We're talking about it a bit earlier with the hopes that maybe if we don't focus on a specific day, maybe people will actually stick with it a bit longer. So I've got to ask you before we let you go, what are your top 3 kind of quick tips for actually staying fit and sticking with it in the new year?
First of all, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions because it seems to set people up for failure, and then they feel like they've let themselves down. So make it a year-round goal. So that would be number 1. Number 2, find that thing that you love or that you want to try. So you're going to stick to it a little bit better. And 3, small changes. We don't reinvent the wheel overnight. So if it's something in diet that you want to work on, implement. You can work with a dietitian and just implement some small changes that can maybe fuel you better. But set yourself up for success. Small steps, something you love, and make it year-long so you're not just focusing on that date.
Bobbi, thank you so much for coming on and telling us your thoughts on all of this. I've taken a lot away from this, so thank you for that. That is Bobbi Janzen, host of Healthy at Home, which you can find on AMI Plus right now.
And coming up here at Access Tech Live, we're going to talk all about your questions or your answers to the question of the week, which is what tech has helped you stay active or maybe get fit. When we come back, we will field your answers right here on Access Tech Live. Stick around.
We want to hear from you. Follow us on social media and get involved at Access Tech Live. We'll be right back.